Do you remember this testimony before our Senate Foreign Relations Committee back in the early 2000s?
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. And I think that people sitting right next door in Iran, young people, and many others will say, the time of such regimes, of such despots, is gone. There is a new age, something new is happening.
And that is speculation on your part, or you have some evidence to that effect?
Because Americans and Jews, whether they're Israeli or American or anywhere in the world, need to see a pattern of power that has been taking place since long before 1948, leading up to where we are now. There is a pattern of power.
The way to deal with terrorist regimes, well, with terror, was to deal with the terrorist regimes. And the way to deal with the terrorist regimes, among other things, was to apply military force against them.
The way we did in Afghanistan.
The way, for example, I want to answer your question.
Well, I guess I'm running out of time, so I quickly was trying to get there. We've done, I think, what you proposed in Afghanistan, yet I haven't seen that sort of neighborhood effect.
Well, I think there's been an enormous effect. The effect was, we were told that there would be a contrary effect. First of all, people said that there would be tens of thousands of people streaming into Afghanistan, zealots who would be outraged by America's action, and this would produce a counter-reaction in the Arab world.
But I think you're now saying that when you take an action like we did in Afghanistan, we're going to see all the other countries just fold.
No, what we saw is something else. First of all, we saw everybody streaming out of Afghanistan.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role. But without that leading role and without that transformation, Europe will not survive.
The application of power is the most important thing in winning the war on terrorism. The three principles of winning the war on terror are the three W's: winning, winning, and winning. The more victories you amass, the easier the next victory becomes. The first victory in Afghanistan makes a second victory in Iraq that much easier.
Israel struck Iran. Yeah. That would be a massive escalation. This is a preemptive strike right into the capital city. What do you think the strategy is there?
Well, the word preemptive, I mean, in the Bush doctrine, it's loose. But the word preemptive indicates, hey, we thought they were about to do something, so we're taking a strike before they do. Or they're saying we're preemptively striking before they build a nuclear weapon. We're not sure. We don't have any information. We were just talking. If I'm going to strike first on someone that says they want to destroy me, I'm probably going to strike their defenses, their Air Force, their opportunity to hit back. It looks like there's smoke going off in city areas. I have no idea. We need more information, but I sit here and go, God, I hope we don't get into this.
Yeah, I really hope we don't get into it and it doesn't spiral out into something crazy.
Yeah.
You think the Jewish lobby in the United States is too powerful for the interests of Israel?
I think so. Sometimes they are disserving the interests of Israel because they're pushing around too many people.
Well, why would the President of the United States pay attention to that lobby?
They are strong.
Strong in what sense?
They are controlling many things.
Controlling what?
Newspapers, medias,
Your Majesty.
Banks, finances, and I'm going to stop there.
Well, now wait just a second. You really do believe that the Jewish community in the United States is that powerful? They make the media reflect their view of foreign policy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine. Iraq, anyway. 75.
Right after 9/11, about 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got come in, you got to come in and talk to me a second. I said, well, you're too busy. He said, no. He says, we've made the decision, we're going to war with Iraq. This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, we're going to war with Iraq, why? He said, I don't know. He said, I guess they don't know what else to do. So I said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda? He said, no. He says, there's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
And how many times have we heard by confession of our own U.S. government that the CIA set up every one of these terror groups? We armed them, we funded them, and don't think that the Mossad wasn't in on it. Do not think that for 1 second, because you'd be wrong. You're either stupid or a liar. We create these terror groups, cause civil unrest throughout the Middle East, and then when we're done using them, we call them terrorists and spend more money fighting them. And what is all this for? It's for the Greater Israel Project, because according to the Talmud and Kabbalah, which most people don't know, the land has to be cleansed of the idolaters before they can usher in their Messiah. It's insane, folks, and here we have this next video. Once again, Israel and the United States handpicked the next leader of Iran. That's exactly why all this is taking place. You know, how many of us understand Farsi to know whether or not what we're being told about what Iran is doing is true? And look at all the bases that we've amassed over the past 30 years in the Middle East. And for what? To what end? What threat are these countries to us? They're not a threat. This is all about exerting CIA, Mossad, American, Israeli, Jewish, religious or not, power over the land. And they'll kill millions, and already have, to accomplish it. And they'll silence you for opening your mouth about it. And it's now becoming illegal to speak out against Israel in the United States. Imagine that. One country. And this is why they ushered Trump into office. Why do you think all of his children married Jews? Why do you think Biden's kids married Jews? Why do you think Kamala Harris was married to a Jew? Jews better wake up, because they're being played and used by their own people. And the Christians, you're the worst. You'll burn in hell. You'll burn in hell with that little blue and white flag.
At AIPAC's Israel-American conference, an Iranian took the stage.
So I'll call him His Majesty Reza Shah II.
This is Reza Pahlavi, the self-proclaimed heir to Iran's abolished monarchy. He recently cozied up with Israel as part of his efforts to take charge in Tehran.
The true Iran, the ancient Iran, and the soon-to-be free Iran doesn't seek your patronage. It seeks your partnership. It doesn't seek your funding. It seeks your friendship.
Since October 2023, Reza and his supporters have openly backed Israel's war in Gaza, viewing the conflict as a way to gain international support for his ambitions in Tehran.
You might fear change will bring chaos, but fear not. We will not allow a power vacuum.
Months before Israel's offensive, which has killed over 42,000 people in Gaza, Reza and his wife visited Israel, meeting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other officials.
Finally, our voice is heard.
there's somebody telling the world and Israeli people that we Iranians stand with you, we want to be your friends.
He framed this visit as part of a plan to rebuild historic ties between Iran and Israel, dubbing it the Cyrus Accords.
He's positioning himself as a modern-day Cyrus the Great. It's a strategy to secure a place at the table if there is ever a regime change in Iran.
The Pahlavi dynasty ruled Iran from 1925 to 1979. While credited with modernizing the country, they were also criticized for being authoritarian and having no connection to the people. The Shahs suppressed political freedoms, marginalized opposition, and relied on brutal tactics carried out by a secret police unit, Savak. The Shah's close ties to the West, particularly the US, fueled anti-imperialist sentiment.
We have faith in the word of the United States.
Inequality and widespread discontent ultimately led to the 1979 revolution, abolishment of the monarchy, and ushering in of the Islamic Republic. Reza was training as a pilot in the US when his family were forced into exile. After his father's death in 1981, Reza declared himself the new king of Iran, but nobody took it seriously. Even the US, despite his hostile relationship with the new government, did not recognize him. According to reports, he began lobbying for government change. Eventually, he got some backing from the CIA and Israel for his plan to use former Savak agents to retake power in Tehran. However, the plan was never greenlit. He remained on the CIA payroll for a number of years in the 1980s. But this too ended after the Iran-Contra affair came to light.
این رندها جمع شدن دنبال این بچه که پولاشو از جیبش درارن. اینا میخوان اینا پولایی که پدر کذاش از مردم گرفته و حالا در بانک دست این است.
Over the past few decades, Reza has managed to find support among a tiny percentage of the Iranian diaspora, particularly in Los Angeles, where an estimated 700,000 Iranian expatriates live.
We want regime change in Iran.
But his activities continue to be downplayed by Iran, who portrays him as a remnant of a tyrannical Pahlavi dynasty.
His image is quite different inside and outside Iran, and he's got more support in the diaspora. But that's mostly because people are nostalgic for the monarchy era and see him as an alternative to the current regime, not necessarily because they are impressed.
Many experts have noted a surge of pro-Reza accounts on social media, pushing his agenda during protests in Iran and particularly since the war in Gaza began.
Recently, there has been a noticeable uptick in bot accounts supporting him on social media, coinciding with his efforts to court Israel and seek Western backing.
With more visibility on social media, TV screens, and public speeches supporting Israel's war in Gaza, Reza is now doubling down on his plan. He wants to exploit the chaos from Israel's invasions of Gaza and Lebanon to push himself into power in Tehran. But how does a king with no real support continue to reign over a kingdom that exists only online?